Welcome to UCF Knightline, your source for UCF sports and former player information.
Hello, Night Nation. This is Andrew Phegley coming to you from the 1148 studios. This is Knightline, episode number 97, brought to you by the Dever Team, your source for New Smyrna Beach, real estate, and everything else New Smyrna Beach.
Trylko here. Hello, everyone. Hello, Andrew. What was that?
Well, we have a new title sponsor, finally. My good friend, Travis Dever, has stepped up big time.
Like a delayed reaction. He waited 97 episodes.
Yeah, well,
he wanted to make sure it was going to be around.
You know, we needed to do some stuff, and Travis with the Dever Team in New Smyrna Beach has totally stepped up to help us out.
Seems like we're big in Volusia County, doesn't it?
Hey, it's good. It's good. I mean, I love New Smyrna Beach.
It is beautiful.
There's, nothing else. And if you want to buy a house over there or commercial real estate or whatever, go to thedeverteam.com, and Travis, who is a UCF alumni, will help you out with that and anything else that you need in New Smyrna Beach. Awesome. Thank you, Travis. I'm glad to have you guys aboard, and we greatly appreciate it.
Glad to see success for a fellow alum. And it's good to be back with everyone following our break on Super Bowl Sunday. What a game that was. What a show we have for you this week, episode 97. We have former Knights defensive back Shaquill Griffin stopping by Knightline. Seems funny to call him former.
I know. It's kind of sad.
Future NFL player,
absolutely.
Huh? Men's hoops hits the skids. We will talk about that. Baseball gets underway Friday. We have the sports editor of the Central Florida Focus joining us for a preview, and folks may not yet know a great deal about the Central Florida Focus, so we get into that with him as well and preview the Knights. So we've got a pretty good episode, number 97.
It's good to be back.
It is.
It was, the only thing that we've done since that time was to put out the, I believe the only thing was the interview with Coach Lovelady last week.
Wasn't that great, though? We had about 15 minutes with him, and he's excited.
A good guy.
He's
excited
like about the season, and it was really interesting to talk. If folks haven't heard that, we're going to talk a little bit more about that coming up. Some of his insights on what they've been doing with nutrition and strength and conditioning were very insightful.
Yeah.
He mentioned in that interview, which you can get on our YouTube channel and all the places you find podcasts and all of that, and subscribe to Knightline if you haven't already. He mentioned that there were 18 players with a body fat percentage of 20 or more. And with their strength and conditioning, they've got that number down to 4 players, and they think those final 4 players will be in tip-top shape when the season gets underway Friday at Jay Bergman Field against
they're ready
Siena.
to go, because we need them to, show us what baseball is supposed to be like at UCF. I mean, it hasn't been that great the last couple of years, but hopefully it will be this year, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm more looking forward to football, though.
I know,
and
you
we've
everywhere.
It's my game, so I love football, and we've got, a little bit of news, and we can talk about that with the football team announcing their schedule.
It's nice to be able to talk about football. When we were last on, we were doing the show, the 2-hour signing day show is what we had done last, where we broke down all of the recruits. Really now with Knightline, it's football every week, right? We're talking about some aspect of football every week.
Football is what makes the world turn. I mean, period. It is the players' feet that make the world turn.
So what do you make of this schedule? Front-loaded, first of all, 7 home games, which is what was talked about, which we anticipated. Been some time since UCF's had 7 home games. Odd, though, that there are going to be so many in September. 4 of the 5 weeks of the season. First 5 weeks of the season, we'll have home games. That season opener, Saturday, September 3 against FIU. UCF put a shellacking on them down in Miami last season. You got to feel good about going into that home opener. But we know what FIU did to us a couple seasons back. But that seems like a winnable game. I know we're not going to get into this projecting wins and losses, but
not yet.
Not yet. But I'm eager to do that. I can tell.
Georgia Tech, that's going to be a good game.
Marquee home game.
That's going to be exciting. I think that's one where it better dang well be sold out. Number one, especially with the ticket things and all that we've talked about. That game is the game to show how that's really going to work, and that's a big game. It's a ACC team coming to
that option team.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I mean, this is going to be two exciting offenses. Let's see whose offense does the thing better.
Well, but before that Georgia Tech game is a conference game in week 2, which is odd that we haven't seen in some
That
time.
is odd. I'm actually pulling the schedule.
Pretty good
up here
opponent,
so
by
I
the
can
way.
See it. Yeah, Memphis, second week.
Yeah.
That's interesting. We don't normally do a conference game there.
That's back-to-back hard games. No disrespect to FIU, but then you have Memphis and Georgia Tech, back-to-back home games. I mean, 3 in a row, but those 2 back-to-back, there's no breathing
And then
there.
you have Maryland on the road.
That's a murderer's row, right? 3 weeks right there.
I'm telling you, that Maryland game is going to be interesting this year because there's some guys that are on this team from last year's team that want some serious revenge there.
Should have won that game.
Because, I think we need to finish it and do it well. Then after that, we have Maine coming.
The game, that's a breather.
That'll be a good breather because that's a great time to have a little bit of a breather.
That's
but
5
I hope
games in September.
I hope that they don't take that too lightly. We can't afford any more to lose to a FCS team.
No.
Can't.
Then
Cincinnati, then East Carolina, then Navy.
Cincinnati's the road game, right? So Cincinnati's road game. East Carolina back. And the thing about that East Carolina game on October 14th, only home game in the month of October.
That's true, too. Yeah, it is a little weird with that going on.
And then so the October Navy, boy, that's a hard road game.
That's going to be interesting because, I mean, Navy was the absolute class of the conference last year. Pretty consistently ranked up there. Conference champions was Temple, I believe. Mm-hmm. But Navy was pretty much, really the most exciting team that was out there in the conference last year.
Played well pretty much all year until that title game.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a game that UCF fans, they joined the league a couple of years ago, but we had not played yet. So it seems to me
our very first time playing.
It's one of the marquee games for fans to go to. Maryland, the other one, that fans may want to go up to that area and check out those campuses and the surrounding areas and sightsee and so forth.
The other thing with this Navy game, and I'm kind of focused on that one because I think that's a big one, it's another team that runs a really weird option. We play 2 of the most extreme option teams this year. That's interesting. Those are hard teams to scheme for defensively. Those games will be very interesting, and I can't wait to see what happens with as many new faces as we're going to have on defense at that time. Those 2 games are going to tell a lot, especially Georgia Tech early is going to be huge.
So in between those road games at Cincinnati and at Navy, East Carolina is at UCF. That's homecoming for UCF. The Navy game's a road game. SMU the following. Oh no, there's a bye week in between Navy and SMU.
Right.
So they recover a bit from running against that Navy attack and have that bye week. And then you'll notice though that next home game is November 11th. So the last home game will have been October 14th, and then November 11th. So nearly a month. I mean, you're going to get your football fill in that first month of September, and then it's just going to be sporadic after that. They're going to have to win those games because they're going to be on the road a lot after that. It's odd in that regard.
And then, of course, after SMU is UConn, and then Temple, and then back on Black Friday.
What do you think of that?
I'm good with it. I think that's great. I think it's a good time to have it, to be honest with you.
No guarantee that is a night game. I know much is made out of that entire weekend, and it doesn't matter when you play that game. If you play that game on Friday night, you play that game on Saturday at noon, you play that game on Saturday night, both fan bases, the Tampa team and UCF, their students will go home, will spread out all across Florida for Thanksgiving holiday. It doesn't matter when in that Thanksgiving weekend you play that game, there's going to be a gripe about the students aren't there. So that's why some people are talking about where you might have that Memphis early on in the season should that be the rivalry game? And it seems that both schools want to establish a rivalry game in that end of the season.
It's always the end of the season where your rival game is. I think that's the week where everybody plays their rival pretty much.
Colorado State's one that comes to mind that plays early.
Yeah.
But you're right. Most of them are right there. And I know people have said, we want to get out of the way of Florida and Florida State that week. And I don't care about Florida and Florida State.
And it's always, that's always kind of a big game as well at the end of the season, because it can be the measurement of somebody's season by that. And sometimes you can knock somebody out of a spot where they're at. If one of us is going for the conference or division championship, it can be a big deal. Winning or losing that game, either one can be a big deal. So I kind of like, if they're ahead, we have a chance to knock them out and all that. So hopefully they won't be ahead this year.
And we'll talk more and more about this, but a friend of mine said, worst case 7-5, best case 9-3. And of course, it's way too early to make those sorts of assessments. We've done it a little bit.
Can't really go there yet.
On the signing day show, we talked a little bit about what we thought. I just know that they've raised the expectations game where they go from the 0 to the 6, and so I don't think the fan base will be happy with 7 of 12 games at home where you're going 6-6, right? So,
absolutely.
It's an interesting schedule. It'd be interesting to see what the times of the games. Of course, those are dictated by TV. So, it remains possible that there will be some high noon starts baking over at the stadium. But a front-loaded schedule.
Now, the TV schedule, of course, hasn't come out yet, and what network any of these games are going to be on. Hopefully, none of them are on that. What was it last year? The game was
beIN Sports.
beIN Sports, where, oh, boy, that was ridiculous.
I wonder what was worse there, being there and watching that pathetic performance by FIU or watching that on TV.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was pretty bad watching it on TV as well. So, and then that November 24th Black Friday game also says that it could be on ABC or the ESPN network. So you never know. That one could be noon on ABC or something like that, and that would be pretty cool.
I think even without students at that game, that is a game that honestly the fan base has to come alive for and really should be. You mentioned sellout for Georgia Tech. Got to get to a point where that rivalry game is a sellout as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So we will see what happens with all that and how the new stadium set up, the way that where people are and the bigger cabana and the student section on both ends and all that stuff. That's going to be an exciting thing to watch this season and just see how that all plays out.
And there's some pressure. Not only will they have changed ticket prices and configuration of the stadium, but you're talking about 5 Saturdays or 5 weekends in September where 4 of those 5 are home games, that they've buried that the 1AA type school Maine there. What is it, FCS? FBS?
Yeah,
I don't like that. FCS. They buried that in week 5. To me, that's a tough ticket.
Division 1 and Division 2.
That's a tough sell for me, that Maine game. Yeah. If you're stumbling around there, if you've maybe lost Georgia Tech, if you've maybe lost Maryland, you're 2-2. I don't know how invigorated the fans are to come out for Maine.
And of course, we'll be previewing all these games and stuff like that throughout the season. I know nothing about Maine whatsoever. I didn't even know they had.
Remember
a football.
the Maine.
Didn't even know they had a football team. So we will see. It looks like they're the Bears or
Bears,
Wolverines, or I don't know what that thing is. They're
Bears, I think.
Is it Maine Bears?
And it's not too early to talk about this, though details are still coming together. But the plan for Knightline is post-game live after every game,
yes.
Home and away.
One way or another, things will have changed a little bit, and I'm not going to talk about that yet, but things have changed a little bit with that situation, and it's exciting, of course.
But home and away, so 7 of the 12 at home, but there's an intention on our part to be post-game live, most likely 30 minutes after we found that folks were still filing out of stadium or still, whatever they were doing, and we started to generate more Twitter activity and Facebook questions and calls once we were about a half hour in.
I will tell you, and we've talked about this already, there will be one game that I will not be available to do that. My brother is getting married in Kansas City, where I'm from, and I will be attending that wedding. I will not be staying home because
you will not be skipping his wedding for the road game at Cincinnati.
No, I will not. So that game, there will not be, as of now, there will not be a post-game live.
I think
there could be.
I think
there could
Jason the Intern could carry it all Could carry the entire show.
I don't know about that, but may be able to work something out there.
It could be something.
Yeah. So we'll see. But I'm looking forward to doing post-game live for every game. I love doing that show. I love talking with the listeners, the fans, and hearing what they have to say, because all of this is for you guys anyway. It's not for our health. It's not for our anything else. It's for you guys. So, and I appreciate the feedback that we've gotten on all this stuff when we've been talking about this, and the support that everybody has given. I really, really appreciate that. So anyway, we're looking forward to that.
And as I have the schedule up on UCFKnights.com, I see this graphic that reminds us of what's coming up. I see this NFL Combine-bound Shaquill Griffin graphic that they have over there. And we have him coming up just after this break.
There are so many ways to connect with Knightline. You can like us on Facebook at Knightline Podcast, or follow us on Twitter at UCF_Knightline. Check out our website at www.ucfknightlinepodcast.com for recruit spotlights, archived episodes, and more. Or, of course, you can always call us at 407-401-9184. That's 407-401-9184. Listen whenever and wherever you are on YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, or tune in. Go Knights and charge on!
A fan favorite, former UCF defensive back Shaquill Griffin starred with the Knights and may soon be taking his blazing speed to the pros. Shaquill Griffin, welcome to Knightline.
Hey, how you doing? I really appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely. No problem, man. You are absolutely one of our favorite players, a very good ambassador for UCF going to the NFL. Tell us a little bit about what's going on. You just played in the NFL Players Association game and totally locked down that side of the field. Tell us what that was like and, all about training up to go to the Combine.
Well, definitely, enjoyed myself actually getting a chance to go to Cali and, playing the NFL PA game with some great players and, learning from actually my defensive coach actually was, a former NFL star, Darryl Green, Hall of Famer. And it was definitely an honor getting coached by him and learning some new things. I went ahead and took full advantage of that. I had a pretty decent game. I had some great practices, really got my name out there. Got a lot of teams looking at me, drawing a lot of attention. Now following up to going to the Combine, just been training and getting ready, running as fast forward that everybody expected me to run, and, just trying to do my best. I'm taking it one day at a time. I'm enjoying the process as I go, and I'm just trying to continue to learn, be able to teach the same things I'm learning to other people, And I was talking to some of the former players, and, it's something that I'm trying to bring back, to the actual school. So, if I do my thing at the actual Combine, I know we can bring a lot of scouts to the actual pro day, help some other guys out, and I feel like that's my goal. I want to help my team out the best way I can, even when I'm not actually playing in the UCF jersey. I want to continue to help. That's my goal.
Quite a few accomplishments in just a couple of years. Take us back to when you were considering just a long list of schools from Arkansas to Western Kentucky, and you chose UCF. What was it about the Knights back then that interested you?
UCF, they just accepted me as like one of their own. We came in, me and my brother together, the whole thing with the project, the package deal, coming out of high school, and that's something that we want to stick with. I had a lot of schools who, asked me, hey, do you feel like, you have any problem leaving your brother behind? And that's, to me, that wasn't an option. We came into high school, we made a bond saying we're going to stick together no matter what. And when UCF, when we came to took a visit, the first thing they said was, I'm not taking one without the other. That was the first school that ever said that, I was sold after that. They brought us in as family, and that's something that I definitely needed, So when they took one, they took both. And that's all I ever wanted, to continue to play with my brother. And I got that chance to do that, as I was at UCF. That definitely was the goal.
And certainly a memories to last a lifetime. You experienced a lot of ups and downs with UCF. What was it like going from the George O'Leary era, that tough 0-12 season, to a bowl bid under first-year head coach Scott Frost? Talk about the differences in those two coaches and those 2 years for you as a player.
Both definitely great coaches, different styles, but both definitely great coaches. With Coach O'Leary, he was more strict and tough, but it's some players who really need that. They need that type of structure. To keep them to understand that this game is a business. And I feel like people need to understand that this is definitely a business, and You gotta keep that as like a business aspect. And with Coach Frost, he's more passionate about just go have fun. You play well when you have fun. At the end of the day, both systems work. It's different. They got different coaching styles, but they're definitely both great coaches. Like you said, it definitely was a roller coaster. Coming from winning Fiesta Bowls and winning back-to-back conference championship to a 0-12 to back to a bowl game, I definitely did experience it all. But I definitely can't take nothing from each coach. They definitely, was great coaching, and I learned so much from both. And I can't thank the Lord enough for that. To get a chance to see two different aspects of the game from both great coaches.
So speaking of your brother, you mentioned him earlier, and you guys coming as a package to UCF. I know your family, and we talked about this before, but I know a lot of your family, and they are all absolutely awesome people, and I love every single one of them. I know that you and your brother both are really, really big on the family thing. How much of a big deal was it for you guys to play this past season together and both be on the field at the same time? Tell us about that.
Oh man, that was something that I can't even couldn't imagine at first. You growing up as kids playing football at the age of 4, you never would have thought you'd make it this far to play on the same field as your brother at the same time. You could only dream about things like that, and that was definitely a dream come true. I definitely can agree to that. And then with the success he had, he'd been waiting so long for the opportunity just to get up on the field and really show people what type of athlete he was. And he definitely proved that. He didn't take for granted. He took each day, and he worked on his craft. He continued to get better. And I feel like he took full advantage of the opportunity that was given to him. It's kind of hard to sit, the first 2 seasons didn't play, and then third season kind of played special teams, and then coming to his 4th season, get a chance to start each game. And you can tell he took full advantage, everything that he earned this year and everything he went through, he definitely deserved that. Defensive player of the year, I wouldn't expect anything less than what he earned this year. And I know it's going to be something awesome. You see him come back and play again and lead the, UCF defense, And, like I said, it's a dream come true. My mom, I know if she was here right now, just listen to her, she'd be crying, It's something special. It's definitely something special.
I know she would. I know she would for a fact.
Oh, yeah,
so over this season, a couple times, like I've been talking about both of y'all and have gotten that way myself because I know your mom and I know that she, is an emotional person, and you'll call sometimes for FaceTime before the games while we're out there tailgating, and she is just a river of tears sometimes, but it's awesome because I know that she is very, very proud of you guys, your dad and her together. What's it going to be like, though, not being around your brother? This is the first time you guys have ever been separated, really. Is it going to put a little bit more fire in you to perform when you guys are apart?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a fire being built up, and it's something we're getting used to, right now. Me being away in Texas for so long, we definitely get a chance to talk every day, even if it's something simple, we just playing the game or anything, we get a chance to talk to each other each day. And right now, going to the NFL, I just want to show everybody that, this is just the beginning. This is not the end of, the Griffin twins at all. He definitely going to have his shot next year. It'll definitely be something crazy if we end up on the same team.
That'd be awesome.
The only chance we had was if I left this year and he left next year, well, that's the only time we have the chance to play on the same team, and that would be something crazy. But we're going to continue to talk about that one. But, it's definitely bringing fire. There's something building inside me that, I'm coming in. I'm not just coming just to, just say I'm on a team. I'm trying to become that 50-man roster, and I'm trying to actually play. I want to make an impact, and any team that accepts me, they're definitely getting something special because I'll play and I'll do anything to help my team. That's just how I was raised, and that's how I was brought up to play this game. I do what it takes to help my team. It doesn't matter if I'm playing corner, safety, nickel. You can put me at DN if you need me. Whatever you need me to play, coach, I'll play it. And that's just how I was raised, and my brother's the same way. And like I said, this is just the beginning. It's going to be something special.
Speaking of that and how you were raised, talk about a little bit about how much your mom and dad supported you and what they went through to get you guys even to the level that you're at now and to help get you to the next level.
Since day one, when we started playing football, they've been supporters since day one. I can tell you stories when I got into high school. Before then, in Little League, my dad come to the game with the camera and record every single football game we ever played in. Now, if that's not support, then I don't know what is. They never miss a game, never miss an event. Just playing basketball or running track, and he was out there with that camera every single football game, recorded everyone. So I can't ask for nothing more than that. My family is definitely a big part of my process and everything that I do. That's someone that I can't ask for nothing more. And I know, and it's kids and stuff that's dying to have a family like that. So, I definitely don't take them for granted. I'm definitely blessed to even have such a supportive family. Not just my mom, my dad, but my brothers, aunties, uncles, cousins, and everybody. We're big on family, and I can't thank the Lord enough for that.
Well, you made a name for yourself at UCF. You broke up passes, you had tackles, you had interceptions, you had touchdowns. Aside from the memories of being on the same team with your brother, what are some other memories that stand out, a particular play, a particular game that you'll take with you for a long time to come?
Let's see, the biggest play, I would take the interception from Tulane. When I got the pick and my brother got up, it hit two people to make sure I secured the touchdown. Now, that's something that's probably going to be talked about for a long time. I got the interception. First off with the play, he rushed the quarterback, made him throw the ball up. I had a chance to get the ball in my hands, and then he got up off the ground to make sure he hit two people down at the same time to make sure I secured the score. And that's something special. I feel like that's a play in my head that I would never forget. That's something that I'll probably think about for the rest of my life.
As Knights fans who listen to you, they're going to think, boy, we're losing a lot of players on the defensive side of the ball going into that 2017 season. You know the players, and you've seen who UCF has recruited. What are your thoughts on the upcoming season? What do you think of this defense? Are they going to step up, reload, and follow what you and others have established this past season?
Oh, yeah, and I've been following along. When I get a chance to talk to my brother each day, he kind of tells me what his thought process about everything. And, as of right now, he said he felt like the team is coming closer together. I felt like it was pretty tight, but he said it's different this year. He said a lot of young guys who's starting to step up. He said I know a lot of the young players looking up to him, so he's taking up that leadership role. And he's doing a great job right now. I know he's taking extra kids outside of extra working out and taking him to work on extra techniques and working on their craft and getting better outside of the football facility. And that's the type of people that we need. And my brother is taking it upon himself to do that. So now he's telling me to have young guys who's stepping up, who's going to be ready, to take on the task of, having a better season that we had in 2016. So, and now I don't want to make a prediction or what I think or what they might do this year, but I feel like it's going to be something special, and I feel like, the Knight fans just got to have faith in this team, and there's going to be something special this year.
Well, UCF has a long history of putting guys into the NFL, and you may be in that position coming up soon. What are you hearing? What are the prospects? Where do you think you might go in the NFL draft?
Well, right now I definitely got a good chance of getting drafted. I got a chance to talk to all 32 teams, and they all like me, especially after the NFLPA game. They love my size, my length, and my speed. So I had a lot of questions from each team, asking what they think I'm going to run at the combine. And I'm not the person who predict what I'm going to run, but, I continue to tell them that, I'm not big on predicting, but it's definitely going to be a special time. So if I was you, I wouldn't miss it. And that's pretty much how I answer my question, because it's going to be a special time. I know what I'm capable of doing, but, I never want to spoil a surprise, for anybody who's watching.
Well, you know what? I don't care what team it is in the NFL. I'm going to be a fan of that team because you're on it. But if for some reason you have a chance to talk to the Kansas City Chiefs, that's my team, and they need a corner. so I'm pulling for Kansas City. Just so you know, just have that in the back of your mind. But any of them will do for sure. Hopefully, it's close to home, so your mom and dad and your whole family can come out and watch you. Explain to us a little bit about what it takes to prepare for all this stuff, though. It's a kind of a big deal going from college to the NFL.
The process is it's a mental thing, You gotta have faith and you gotta have confidence in yourself. And that's something that we came in when we started training. You're not going to hit the numbers that you want to hit your first day there. And it's the main thing they tell us is not to get frustrated. At the end of the day, you have to enjoy this because there's so many kids out here who's dying to be in our position, who would love to go to the combine or go to a bowl game. So at the end of the day, you gotta enjoy the process. So honestly, the way I can put it is, I just take each day and I get as much as I can out of each work session. You know,
right.
I don't take nothing for granted. I work hard as I can each day. I make sure I treat my body right and I recover. And, you know, and when I get to the combine, I'm not going to overthink it. And, you know, I'm not going to get nervous because I know what I'm capable of doing. You know, I've been playing football since I was 4 years old, so it's nothing new. I'm just going to go out there and have fun. I mean, and as I'm having fun doing it, I know I'm going to do a good job. Because this is exactly what I do. You know, this is nothing new. So I keep telling people who I train with, don't get nervous. You know, you're good because if you wasn't, you wouldn't be here. You know, and I continue to tell them that have faith in yourself and confidence and have fun and while you're doing it. You know, and I'll give that to anybody. That advice I'll give to anybody. You know, just enjoy the process. You know, and continue to have fun. And remember, you're not here for no reason. So go out there and enjoy yourself.
It's completely an honor even to be chosen to get a shot at the combine because everybody doesn't get that. So I would think if you're there, there's a reason for it. There has to be.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Shaquill, thank you so much. It's been an absolute honor to have you on here, and we really appreciate it.
No problem. I really appreciate you guys having me.
No problem. Good luck with everything, and we will talk to you hopefully after that combine as well.
Can't wait.
So that was one of my favorite interviews. I am a huge fan of those two boys, a huge fan of their family as well. You can tell in there that I talk a lot about that, but
and they talk a lot about their family,
Yeah.
which is really nice to hear.
I mean, there is not a better group of people in the world as far as I'm concerned, to be honest with you. They have been so great to Tina and I, my wife, and it's been absolutely awesome. So he's in Texas getting ready. We talked a little bit about that for the Combine, and the Combine is February 28th through March 6th at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, and that will be on the NFL Network pretty much that entire week. Like I said in the interview, it is a huge honor to even be able to go to the Combine and be invited to that. You know, you can watch it and see what he does, and, you know, I'm sure that he's going to do a great job there.
You get the sense that he's making UCF Knight Nation proud on and off the field.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If anybody could do that, it's going to be the Griffin boys. And I'm sure that, you know, like we were talking about, I'm sure that Shaquem will go as well at some point. So that's
Not yet.
They're
We need
going to be.
him. We need him.
Yeah,
in
they're going to
2017.
be great ambassadors, though, for UCF, the NFL, and anything else that they would get involved with. I guess let's talk about basketball. Last night played UConn.
Yeah, a little too late for men's basketball. The Knights erased an 18-point deficit. 26-10, run there down the stretch, but UCF fell 66-63 at home to UConn. UCF now 6-7 in the American, 15-10 overall. We knew this was a tough stretch of games, and they had the opportunities there. Just things aren't clicking on all cylinders with that roster where they play a 40-minute game. They have lapses. And
I really thought towards the end there when they started coming back, I was actually able to go to this game, which was interesting for me. So, and I was there cheering and screaming, and there was a lot of bad calls, ref-wise, I think.
Was this a strange start to that game, by the way? It was
really,
2-0.
really was. And then Taco gets the two fouls.
In the first minute and a half.
Yeah, literally a minute and a half. And some of those, it was bad refereeing, I will say. I don't have to be nice to referees on this show. It was bad.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
They were showing replays on the screen.
There were some calls that just didn't make any sense.
It was horrible. It was horrible. It was one of the worst refereeing jobs that I've seen in basketball. I mean, it was clearly, if they would have been able to look up at the screen, or if they would have looked up at the screen, they would have seen that they made some horrible calls.
And in the postgame, Coach Dawkins was talking about how, obviously, right, when your 7'6" guy gets two fouls in the first minute and a half, it alters your game plan.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
He certainly isn't thinking that he's got a bench.
Jeez.
And then he's got to sit Taco for, goodness, 16, 18 minutes? I mean, he didn't see
was,
any more action pretty much first half.
Yeah, it was horrible.
That's a big change in the game when Taco's not in there. And but UConn, geez, nearly 70% shooting from three. They threw up against the Cows earlier, 16 three-pointers when they beat them by 40-some-odd points, 46 points. So they're just on fire now, UConn. They've rallied, and they've gotten back into the thick of things. And for UCF, a little bit tougher now,
I guess we should say Isaac's not with us this week because he had a family emergency that he had to deal with. And, of course, family comes first and all that stuff, so he will be back next week. So we wish him well, but we will, we'll talk basketball here a little bit. Right now, maybe we should hear what Coach Dawkins had to say right after the game.
A hard-fought game. I mean, you look at how it went. I thought they had some really good runs in the first half and was able to build a lead. And I thought we actually did the same thing in the second, but we couldn't get all the way back. So you give them credit. I thought they started the game off, shot the ball really well in the first half. I thought their senior leader, Purvis, really gave them a big lift in the first half. I think he may have made about 5 threes in the first half and got them off to a good start. And now, like I said, I'm proud of our guys for how we, kept competing. I think we got down by as many as 18, and our guys, weren't deterred. They kept fighting. I could see it in their eyes in the huddle that, we could try to battle back, and they gave us a chance at the end, which is what you want.
Well, taking a look at the standings, Tulsa's on a 4-game losing streak, and they come to UCF Valentine's night, and it wasn't just 2-3 weeks ago, UCF fell at Tulsa. Tulsa went on a big run to end that game, which in this game, against UConn, UCF went on the big run, but it was just too little too late. So during the post-game media, I asked Coach Dawkins, how do you get ready for Tulsa knowing what you played against them just a couple of weeks ago?
You have to execute better. We weren't as sharp as we needed to be. You give them credit again. They played well, and they made the plays at the end of the game when they had to. And for us, we had to be sharper. I mean, I thought coming down the stretch, we had some unforced turnovers. I thought we rushed some shots. We didn't show the poise that's required to win a game like that, especially on the road. And so we have to learn from that, and those are things that we'll show our guys, before we play them again.
I like what he says. I think he really has a cerebral approach to this.
Good word. Good word choice.
Thank you. It was a big word for me.
I didn't mean that. I just meant it was a good word.
No. But anyway, I really think that Johnny Dawkins, really has, like I said, a cerebral approach to this, and he puts a lot of thought into what goes on here. It just seems like it's a different thing than with Donnie Jones last year. If you could imagine, I think the floor would have fallen out by now. I mean, really fallen out.
Yeah.
And it hasn't. I mean, there's still a lot to play for.
Oh, definitely.
Here. So
definitely. There's still postseason hopes for this team, be it an NIT or another postseason tournament. As it stands, 6-7 in the league, and 6 wins in the American is the most that UCF has ever achieved. So still 5 games left in the schedule, the regular season schedule plus conference tournament. UCF has that opportunity. Tulsa's on the skids. And they're coming to Orlando for the Valentine's night game against the Knights. And, boy, I hate to say anything's must-win, but if they're going to rally here and get into a position where in their top 5 and they get a bye in the first round of that conference tournament, they kind of need to knock off Tulsa.
I think everything is must-win at this point.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, we didn't mention it because obviously UConn was the closer game in this, but midweek they were down by a good bit at different points with Cincinnati, which is a talented team. Number 11 in the country.
Yeah.
And they rallied in that game. They lose 60-50 on the road, but they didn't embarrass themselves. I mean, there were stretches again, and Coach Dawkins has been talking all year about playing that 40 minutes. And the players, when you heard from B.J. Taylor, they're talking about they haven't played that complete game the way they need to win a game like that.
Did we already talk about what happened with Cincinnati today?
No, not yet.
Yeah, well,
not yet.
Let's talk about that.
There's a shakeup atop the American and Sunday action. Number 25, SMU 60. Number 11, Cincinnati 51. Shakes things up. It means SMU now tops the league at 12-1 mark. Cincinnati loses their first league game, 11-1 now. And it's interesting the way the rest of the league shakes out. Houston has won 5 straight league games. They are now 9-4 in league. Memphis loses on Sunday to Temple. They're 8-5. UConn has rallied, and now they're 7-5. And then this is right. You see, they're 7-5. That's why that was an important game and a win for UConn, a loss for UCF. Tulsa 6-6, UCF 6-7, Temple 5-8, East Carolina 3-9, Tulane 1-11. The Cows finally won a game, by the way, Saturday night. They beat East Carolina. They're 1-12.
Everybody has to win sometime.
Yeah, they're 1-12 in league. So if UCF gets that win, it would represent the most wins they've ever had in the American with 7. And there's still the game at East Carolina, the game over in Tampa. So still some interesting things, but got to win this game, and Tulsa's a tough opponent. So, But Tulsa's on a 4-game losing streak, so you might get them at the right time.
Absolutely.
From hard court to the diamond, Baseball and softball are back. Earlier this week, we caught up with new UCF baseball head coach Greg Lovelady. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Great interview with him. I think it's really insightful.
I thought it was fun.
And he's had a great deal of success.
He was good to talk to.
Yeah.
Like, very talkative guy. I mean, he wasn't like,
he was a talkative guy.
I mean, no, it wasn't like, a boring interview to do.
No.
We had a good time, and he seemed to enjoy it, and we, of course, enjoyed it. And thank you to UCF for letting us talk to him. We appreciate that.
Yeah, Bill Morrison, SID for baseball.
Yep.
Helped us
Thank you, Bill.
get that. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
He talked to us. He shared us his outlook on this 2017 season.
I think it's going to be a lot more fun. I think the guys are going to go out there and play with a lot of energy, give them a lot of freedom, a lot of individuality. I want the guys, this is supposed to be the most exciting time of their lives. So try not to restrict them too much. Let them go out and play and have fun and play the game hard. We'll do everything about us. We'll worry about us and try to make an exciting product on the field. But I think we're going to have competitive guys. I think we've got a chance to win some games.
You can hear that interview in its entirety on UCFNightlinePodcast.com and through all the ways that you get your podcasts.
How will the 2017 baseball season play out? Let's ask Evan Abramson, sports editor of the Central Florida Focus. Evan, thanks so much for joining us on Knightline.
Thanks for having me on the show, guys. Really appreciate it.
Well, just saying that before we start talking about baseball, Central Florida Focus. I'm a one-time sports editor of the Central Florida Future, which is no longer, and you worked for the Future as well. What's the Focus? Tell us a little bit more about this.
Well, the Central Florida Focus is a student-run organization that a bunch of students, including myself, helped found under the leadership of Aliso Smith, a news editor who worked with myself at the Future during my freshman year when I served as sports editor of the Future. And the Focus, we're just trying to serve the UCF and its community and deliver the best source of news that we can as student journalists, but also as professional journalists. We are, yes, at the same time we are students, but we also hold ourselves to the same standards as professionals in the industry.
Very good. And you've been covering UCF baseball. So as we transition into that, let me ask you this. We had UCF's new head coach, Greg Lovelady, on with Knightline earlier in the week, and he was talking about how much the players are having fun and how he wants to stress that. And I sensed in that answer that he said that maybe that wasn't the case last year. What's your observations? How much fun were players having during the struggle of a season that was last year, the final year under Terry Rooney?
They did finish 25-34 last year. They had an 8-16 conference record, 17-13 at home, and 7-17 away. So they definitely performed a little better at home, but it's always tough when you're having a losing season. You're not performing to the same standard that you would like to really have as much fun. I mean, baseball is America's pastime. It's one of the greatest games in the world, and it should be a fun game. And when you start swinging the bat, you walk up to the plate, you smell hot dogs, you smell all the beverages, you hear everyone cheering, and you're hearing the seventh inning stretch. It should be a fun game. It shouldn't be stressed out. You shouldn't be nervous when you're walking up or be like, oh, why do I have to come out to the diamond? To me, it's a privilege to play baseball. And I think that under this new leadership, I think they're really going to succeed. I mean, you've seen it in every aspect of UCF athletics so far this year. With everyone Danny White has come into contact with and touched, he's jump-started every sport here at UCF. I mean, you look at basketball, men's and women's, already passed their marks last year in terms of the record where they were last year. They're already surpassing that. And football, you're bouncing back from an 0-12 season, and now you even make it to a bowl game, and you have all this branding, and you have all these great players coming in under the leadership of Coach Scott Frost. So you just kind of expect, they've done such a great job of bringing in the right people to lead these programs for the other sports. Why not baseball?
So a little bit of pressure on Greg Lovelady then, huh? That he's following in this line of coaches that Danny White's hired who have excelled in their first seasons. And guess what? Now he has that pressure on him going into this baseball season.
Absolutely. But you know what? I mean, from what I've heard and from what I've seen, he's a great coach. He has plenty of experience, and he has the players that he needs who he can make a difference with and at least try and turn this program and bring it back into the glory that UCF is used to having with this baseball program. I mean, you're a Florida team. You have Florida recruits available to you in the state that most spring training games are in for a lot of Major League Baseball teams. And the fact is that he has a wide array of resources available to him, including some veteran players. I mean, you look at this roster, he has 3 freshmen on the team, 8 sophomores, 10 juniors, and 12 seniors. So he has a lot of leadership. Clearly, he's going to be building the team in the next couple of years after some of these guys graduate. But he has a strong foundation for this year with a lot of guys with a good experience from last year who are really able to contribute.
What do you think the biggest differences that fans are going to be able to notice between the styles of Coach Rooney and the styles of Coach Lovelady? What do you think those are?
I mean, to be completely honest, I haven't had that much of a chance to talk to Coach Lovelady, and I haven't had that much of a chance to examine what his styles are versus Coach Rooney. I know from last year, Coach Rooney was a great guy. Loved talking to him. He was a great mentor to the players, and he did the best job he could at UCF. And we just have to wait and see in terms of this season what Coach Lovelady has in store for UCF fans. I mean, we already see they got people excited for the new stadium that will be built probably at the end of this year, hopefully, maybe in the next couple of years, who knows. But they're getting the funding. The baseball team is attracting attention from the whole UCF community, and it's only a matter of time until they start winning again, and Coach Lovelady brings his influence onto this team. You
mentioned earlier about recruiting, and it seems to me as a longtime fan of the program that it's going to be tough for UCF to out-recruit Florida State, Miami, but it seems in recent seasons there's success across the state, and UCF hasn't really been a part of that, from the Cows over in Tampa to programs like Stetson, like Jacksonville, Florida Atlantic, FIU. What's it going to take for UCF to win some of those recruiting battles and keep kids in state?
Well, I think the recruiting battle's already started, and that UCF is already starting to win. I mean, you're already seeing guys like Coach Frost. He's bringing in big recruits for football. And all it takes is some big branding and a good move by athletic director Danny White, and he's already doing what he has to do to make this possible. And they're already getting big recruits in for a lot of the sports here, and it's only a matter of time for baseball. I mean, they start winning games, getting attention, and playing baseball and having fun. I mean, you mentioned that earlier. That's all part of the game. And once players and recruits from high school see that, they're going to go to where they feel most comfortable. I have friends who I covered in high school when I was a PA announcer and also a high school sports editor, who I was interacting with players, and they were telling me they were going to schools where they felt they were going to have the most fun, the least amount of pressure on them, and where they felt like they could really perform and have fun at the same time and get to know their future family. And I think that's all that it takes here at UCF in building a strong family that you can rely on, and it's especially in this environment that Orlando is such a great city to do that.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the team. Again, a lot of returners, as you mentioned, senior class-wise, but Robbie Howell seems to be the guy that we're going to look to on the mound to carry the most leadership for the Knights. What's your sense of the pitching of this team?
They've got some good pitchers. I mean, they have a lot of older guys on the team, like we said, especially when you see right-handed pitchers. I mean, they have four of them. Four big ones: Juan Pimentel, they have Campbell Scholl, and Robbie Howell. Just like you said, he had a 1.96 ERA, 7-4 record, 101 innings pitched, gave up 22 earned runs, but he struck out 65 batters, and he's got the leadership to really take this young pitching squad and the more experienced pitchers on the squad and really turn the season into something they can really work with. They have a lot of players. They have the at-bat and the offensive power to try and contribute and keep them cushioned on the mound. And it's just going to be a matter of time until we see the influence of Coach Lovelady, see what he has in store, the defensive plays. Maybe we'll see a couple trick plays. Who knows? But it's all about having fun. And once you're comfortable on the mound, the rest takes off from there.
On the offensive side of baseball, who do you see as the players to watch?
Obviously, you have Austin Griffin. I mean, Grand Slam Griffin from last year. Everyone loves him, and the reason is he makes exciting plays happen. He had 10 home runs last year, 41 RBIs, and a .489 slugging percentage. I mean, you can't ask for better numbers from a player like Austin Griffin, especially when he's giving you the brand of Grand Slams. You go into a baseball game, UCF is promising you he's going to hit you the Grand Slam. And he did that quite a few times last year, and he really got the fan base excited for it, and it really just helps the overall mood of the team, especially when a Grand Slam brings you 4 runs of cushion for that pitching squad. You got guys like Eli Putnam, and you also have Brennan Bozeman, guys who are hitting and getting the hits and getting the runners on base of them. I mean, it's just going to be a matter of putting the players in the right spots in the lineup and getting them to hit. I mean, it all takes one swing at a time. Don't make stupid plays. You just swing the bat at the right pitches. You follow the signs. You follow your coaching, and you work as a team. That's all it takes. So
as a person that's kind of like a fan favorite, would you say it's probably going to be Griffin?
I would say, yeah. I would say Austin Griffin's going to have a large impact, and even Robbie Howell. I mean, I think those two guys are going to have a huge amount of persuasion on this team and how they do this year. And I think they're really going to influence the fans and also people coming out to the games to support the Knights and also the players on their team. I mean, it's going to be a matter of time, and we'll see as the weeks go by, especially in Media Day coming up this week, and some more practices. We'll see how this team performs and how they're coming together as a family.
Well, you mentioned Griffin's big bat. If you had to guess going into this season, and again, we're going to see what it's like with the new coach in charge of the Knights, Is this going to be a team that has to outscore teams 10-8? Is it going to be a small ball team? Is the pitching going to make it a 2-1 game? And what's your sense based upon the returning players and the new direction with a new head coach? Small ball, big home runs, high-scoring games? What's your sense?
Well, here's the thing. Last year they had 500 total hits, 38 home runs, 255 RBIs, and a 256 average for the team. The average obviously has to come up a little bit. You'd like to see some more run production, especially maybe some long balls, but I'm not really concerned about that. They just have to come up to the plate and step up and make some good swings and make good contact and get those hits one at a time. You're not so much worried, we're relying on the home run ball here. You got to really just take the swings and take the good cuts that you have. I mean, you got to let the pitching have some cushion room, and if you do that, it takes a lot of pressure off of the team. And once you do that, once the pressure's gone, nerves go away, and the team can really start performing the way that they are supposed to be doing that. I mean, you look at pitching-wise, they had a 4.23 ERA last year, 507 hits allowed, 283 runs allowed. They had 237 walks, but struck out 411 batters, which is just amazing to me. And if you look at those numbers, you'd like to see both numbers in terms of offensive production go up, and maybe the runs come down a little bit, maybe the hits come down, and the ERA maybe half a point or so. But once you do that and you get the average, let's say 10 points up, maybe bring it to a 260, 265, I think you're going to look at a really successful year and a good opportunity to really score some points with the fans.
Evan, what I like about you is you sound like a baseball guy. You're rattling off stats. Guys who like baseball like rattling off stats. I like that about you so far. How can folks follow your work in social media? Where do they find the focus? And what will your coverage be like during the upcoming baseball season and as well the other spring sports?
Well, for UCF, especially for the Focus, you can follow us at CentralFloridaFocus.com. That's our website. In addition, you can also follow our Twitter handle for sports, UCF Sports Now. Myself, as a sports editor, and Christian Simmons, my assistant sports editor. We have a good team of writers. We will be bringing a lot of production in terms of stories and some good features and stories all around on player profiles and the teams itself and game recaps. And we'll be posting those to our website for baseball, softball, you name it, any spring sport. And you just got to check our website, CentralFloridaFocus.com. We'll post Twitter, we'll post tweets every day, even on Facebook. You look us up. We got all the content in the world. And in addition, I also do some play-by-play for UCF, for UCFnights.tv, where we'll be broadcasting some of the baseball games over the course of the season where people can watch the games online and stream them and listen to our call, myself and a couple other students doing the team broadcast.
Evan Abramson, Mr. Multimedia, it would seem, sports editor of the Central Florida Focus. We thank you so much for joining us on Knightline, and go Knights. We'll see you out at Jay Bergman Field.
The baseball season gets underway this Friday, February 17th. The Siena Saints going to be at Jay Bergman Field. First pitch Friday is at 6:30. Saturday's game is also at 6:30. And Sunday, the Knights hit the field at 1 p.m. It's going to be exciting. Baseball is here.
Baseball is back. By the way, do you like the shirt? You like the shirt? I've got a game-worn jersey, a Citronaut.
Oh, that's a game-worn jersey.
It's a game-worn jersey.
Oh, wow. Cool. Cool. It's cool.
We haven't really talked. I've told you this. I'm going to see how many weeks I can go wearing a different UCF
and
shirt.
I've been taking pictures every week. I've got to get those up maybe on the website or the Facebook page. Let's do that on the Facebook
I don't know that
page.
I have never counted the number of UCF shirts. I mean, I got stuff going back to the TAC and the A-Sun.
I'm wearing a baseball shirt today.
Royals.
Yeah. My Kansas City Royals, who has a Knight
Drew Butera.
Yeah. They've had a rough off-season,
the
Royals.
Yeah,
with,
the death of the pitcher.
Ventura. Just an incredible, incredible pitcher, and it's horrible. Anyway.
So, yes, sporting the game-worn Citronaut
That's a
jersey.
cool
I'm
jersey.
excited about baseball. We're talking baseball. We've got to talk about softball. Things are underway for softball. Mixed weekend, though, for the Knights during the UCF Knights Invitational. Pair of wins over Florida A&M, but losses to Kentucky and a pair of L's against Pittsburgh. UCF now 2-3 after the opening weekend. But again, they're playing a high level of competition. And, some freshmen in the mix. It's going to take a while to sort things out, but this is a program that is consistently year in and year out contending in the American, a strong program, goes in the season just outside the top 25 when you tally up the votes. So and give the ladies an opportunity to get a couple of games.
Yeah, it might take a little while to get going.
Yeah. Tough road trip now. They go out west, the Mary Nutter Classic, well-respected in softball circles. They got games against Cal Poly, UCLA, California, and Loyola Marymount. So a murderer's row of teams out west. and they faced a gauntlet of teams when they participated in this classic last year. The record wasn't there, but I'll tell you what, it got them ready for conference play, and that's what they're looking for, to play some of the best teams in the country and see where you are, and it really toughens you up when you get into conference play.
I think they'll have a good year.
What's happening this week? Let's look at your Knightline planner. Women's basketball visits the Cows. That's February 14th, 7 o'clock. War on I-4. Rivalry points up for grabs. Women's tennis hits the road too. February 15th match at University of North Florida. Men's tennis back home. Friday, February 17th, 1 o'clock match against Tennessee Tech at the USTA complex in Lake Nona. Women's tennis home that day too against Florida Gulf Coast, also at 1. Women's basketball back home against East Carolina, 2 o'clock on Saturday, February 18th. Also on the 18th, men's golf takes part in the Gator Invitational up in Gainesville. More men's tennis action, high noon at home against Florida Atlantic on Sunday, February 19th. And women's golf tees off at the Sugar Bowl Classic on the 19th too.
And now, news and notes from the world of UCF sports. Thanks to Aliyah Gregory's high 33 points, women's basketball rallies for a big 62-58 win at Tulsa. It was a good week for the Knights, who also smashed Houston. UCF improves to 5-6 in conference, 15-9 overall.
They're moving in the right direction. Another week, another school record for redshirt senior Anne-Marie Blaney, this time setting a school record in the 5,000 meter at the Music City Challenge in Nashville. Blaney has set a UCF record in not one, not two, 3 events during this indoor season.
Congrats to senior Courtney Cesarini, the American Women's Tennis Player of the Week. The Knights are 6-1 so far in the season.
Kudos to senior Ashley Holder, the AAC's Women Golfer of the Week. She's helped 17th ranked UCF finish in a third-place tie at the UCF Challenge that included 9 other ranked schools.
She's quite a golfer.
Yes.
I don't know if you're into golf, but she is quite a golfer. And finally, how tall are you?
I'm 5'10". What are you?
I'm like 6 foot.
So you would look up to this next
Absolutely.
individual.
Not quite the 6'6" height of UCF's newest volleyball transfer, Jai Zhang, who is joining the Knights from LIU Brooklyn. She is not quite as tall as Taco Fall either.
No, she's still got a
she's,
foot shorter.
Yeah, she's a big girl. It's all good, though. In volleyball, that's what you need. You need girls like that.
Literally huge, and UCF volleyball coach Todd Dagenet believes, when I'm reading the release, that this may be the tallest player ever to play for the Knights.
Wow.
Volleyball.
So we've got the tallest, I don't know, is there taller players on other teams?
Well, in volleyball, as you mentioned, height is important, so yeah.
We have the tallest basketball player in all of college basketball.
That's correct.
So could we have the tallest volleyball player in all of, I don't know, we'll have to...
that if that's the case, UCF is going to put that information out.
Yeah, we'll get Jason on that. We'll see next week if that is the case.
I like, by the way, that you did pretty good with that name.
Yeah, thank you. All right, this has been episode number 97 of Knightline, brought to you by the Dever Team. I'm Andrew Phegley.
I'm Trace Trylko. Go Knights!
Charge on!
UCF, let's go Knights! UCF, charge on to the field. With our spirits, we'll never yield. Black and gold charge right through the line. Victory is our cry.